You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth, and that's why we call it Power Talks. Good morning, Melody. How are you today?
And good morning to you and to the listeners.
I'm in a nostalgic mood because CSE Talk Radio is celebrating 7 years today. 7 years today, and it was a whirlwind of a day as I look back and remember. Well, with Power Talks, this is show number 187.
Wow.
And when we talked about doing this show, we were going to do these quotes, and we've kind of flunked. But I found this as I was cleaning up the clutter in my office. I found this quote yesterday. I hung on to it, and this is a George Orwell quote: "The further a society drifts from truth, the more it will hate those who speak it." And I thought, oh my gosh, is that not applicable today?
It certainly is.
Of course, it's getting harder and harder to recognize truth today.
It truly is, and and I bring this one example up. There was a report released about Iran. I'm not sure which department it was. It's a lot of scuttlebutt on the mainstream media. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but it is interesting because the first sentence of this report was Iran has nuclear weapons. And the truth of the matter was it was a typo. It was maybe it was who knows what the intent was behind it, but it was then later changed to had. And it makes a big difference. Has and had, regardless of whether they do or not, it certainly can be very powerful. To the understanding, and decisions are made. And we see that, and I just bring that as an example, and not to, criticize the administration or anything like that, but just as a point to, we see it so often in reports where half of the truth is there, and, they'll change a word which can change the complete understanding of that report. Later on, there's certainly, just like with Mr. Trump visiting the NRA on Friday, it was reported initially that you couldn't take weapons into the meeting and so forth. The NRA was going to, reject any weapons and so forth and whatnot. And this is the NRA convention, okay? And actually, what it was the Mr. Trump's security team that has certain requirements when he travels. No matter where he goes, there are certain things that can and can't be done. But that wasn't really discussed. It made it sound like the NRA was bad, and that they were kind of making fun of the NRA, but it wasn't later disclosed until later. And so again, it's very difficult to weed through the information because we've been bombarded with so much information.
And so much of it is fake news on both sides. So much of it is, I have this article, and before I even start.
When I think of fake news, I think of something that's totally made up. I mean, and go ahead.
Yes, okay. Well, they do have stuff that's totally made up.
That's why I stopped talking.
Okay. Well, when I see an article and it starts out with the Representative Peter King, I always kind of wonder about him because he was the one that went nuts whenever they were having the primaries before 2016, because he said, well, if Senator Cruz gets the nomination, I'm going to jump off a bridge. And I think that was Peter King. So I always wonder when he says anything how much I should listen to it. But he's talking in this, and this brings to mind what you were saying about the language and how things are worded and skewed and turned around. And he's talking about Mueller's questions to Trump. Somehow somebody leaked the questions that Mueller's going to ask Trump if they ever have this interview. And Peter King was making the statement that it depends on how these questions are asked and how they can, how they're presented as to whether it says in context, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with the questions. But, it was, I had to, when I was reading this article, he says, if you have a contradiction in testimony, it presents legal problems. He says, it's unusual to allow a person to testify in such a situation. He says, and you could be perfectly innocent in telling the truth, but your testimony or your statement could conflict with something else they've heard from somebody else. He says, we had a judge in New York who said you can indict a ham sandwich if you want to. The question is how intense it will be. Are they going to be honest about it? And again, we know they're not going to be honest about it. That's just me kicking that out there for you. Again, I've been through so many hearings and interviews and gone on through so many documents. I've seen in no evidence of collusion. And he goes on and on to explain this. He thinks it's all, for naught. But I had to write to the side of this article the words from President Clinton when he was being questioned, and he goes, well, it depends on what the word is means. So the words, how you ask them, we've got too many lawyers involved in this nation, and so they will turn everything around. I don't think President Trump should do this interview or interrogation or whatever you want to call it. I think it's a setup thing, and I just don't think he should. Well,
you know what, though? I did hear a different of opinion, and because I agree with you, I'm thinking, why would you do that? But if Mueller subpoenas him, that means it goes to a grand jury. And
they haven't been in too much favor, have they?
And the point is, he has no attorney. And we know how he likes to talk off the cuff. So either he would have to plead the fifth in there. And this is what the discussion was that I heard. So it might be in his best interest to have a meeting with Mueller so he doesn't subpoena him to where he can have his attorneys by his side. And I thought that was an interesting point of view because, it's just Trump's personality. And, sometimes he's his own worst enemy with some of the things that he tweets and so forth and whatnot. So, yeah, he should have his attorneys by his side. So.
Interesting.
Being interviewed at all is, is a different issue. Going down this road and so forth. But if Mueller is going to do it, Trump would be better off having his attorneys by his side.
That's true. That's true. I'm just so ready for it to be over with. I'm just so sick and tired of hearing about it. We know that there wasn't any. Well, we think we know. We know that there was.
One thing about Mueller. And I don't follow this. My expertise is financial, so I don't follow this on a, minute-by-minute disclosure of what's going on with Mueller and so forth.
And it changes minute by minute.
You're right. But there really hasn't been a lot of information. There's a lot of speculation. And,
they leaked some of the questions, and when I got that and I tried to read through it, it was kind of a craziness for me. And there's the article about the threat of the subpoena. The fact that they even want to threaten the president is astonishing to me. I know you don't want to talk about the nasty women again, but I saw where Kathy. Well, this is just the absurdity of what's going on in this nation. That there seems to be no respect for anyone, anywhere, and particularly right now the president of the United States. And it's been going on for a while. They were horrible to making fun of his intelligence with George W. And there was a lot of them making fun of Obama and his ears and just all kinds of things. No respect for the office anymore, no. And that bothers me. So she took back her apology from holding up the severed head, as if it was ever really an apology, and said a few flowery words towards the president. And then she made herself out to be the victim, because after she'd done that, she had 2 months of investigation from the FBI for a plot to assassinate the president. Well, what did she think was going to happen?
I mean, she's just, just another. I mean, it's true. She's disgusting.
She is disgusting.
She's disgusting.
But what are these? I mean, there's just no respect for the office. So she says certain flowery words to the president, and she's going to continue to. I'm not sorry I did it. And it's, that has just, that used to be considered a threat. And so she now claims that she's the victim because she was under a 2 or 3 month investigation of the FBI and Secret Service for a plot to assassinate the president.
Well, she's not the only one, though.
But she should be. But she should. I mean,
they all should be
the only one. They all should be.
She's not the only one who made threats. And and they all should be investigated.
Yeah, I don't think they did anything to Beyonce. No, that wasn't Beyonce. Who was that? Madonna? Who was that said she thought about blowing up the White House?
Madonna. That was Madonna. Well, yeah. One of your Missouri politicians said something, too.
Yeah, she's an idiot. Yes, she should have been.
Wasn't it Missouri or Utah? I don't recall.
It was Missouri. It was Missouri. It was one of our St. Louis people.
So, look at the View.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, these people are disgusting. Instead of just talking about the issues and our problems that we have, they're just a bunch of baby name calling, and I don't get it. But and again, it goes to show we've been down this road before, and we called about our morals, our values, and our belief in God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it is, and they display their.
Well, they make fun of that. I mean,
their lack of faith.
Yeah.
That's
Joy
what
Behar makes fun of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what you have.
Well, there is that, and then those that are supposed to be in power, in positions of authority, that have become full of themselves, and there's a whole bunch and a gob of them. But Rod Rosenstein now, he's fighting back because Congress is threatening to impeach him because he's not giving them the documents that they have asked for, and Congress has every right under the Constitution to ask for these documents. And he's refusing or dragging his feet and not doing it, so now he's claiming he won't be extorted. Well, this isn't extortion. So what's he telling us? You can't force me to obey the Constitution. So basically, these agencies believe that they are the heads of state. They believe they're above and beyond the President of the United States. They believe they're above and beyond the Congress. And they're going to do whatever they want to do. And to heck with the rest of us. They don't like the president that was picked. And so they're going to do everything they can to obstruct and try to get rid of him. Rosenstein is the one that I thought I heard music. Rosenstein is the one that actually put the memo out to fire Comey. We're suggesting that we fire Comey, and then when we fire Comey, we have to have an investigation about him firing Comey because they claimed the president did something wrong. We had every right. He should have fired him the first day he walked in the White House. Should have just got rid of him. Got all new.
Well, I could never understand why he kept him anyway. I couldn't figure that one out. Because I agree with you. He should have gotten rid of him from day one, and we wouldn't be having these issues probably.
Right.
But I don't know.
Right. Well, anyway, Rosenstein believes he's above and above everyone else. That agency has the say, and Congress has no say, and that's not constitutional at all. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talk with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. I have a couple little things here. One is more interesting than the other. I'm just going to throw this one out. He is on the list. That is John Kelly. He's on the list for the Veterans Affairs appointment, and I know that the president hasn't given him another nominee just yet, but John Kelly is on the list. He still has great respect and for John Kelly, and he's on the list, a short list, I guess. But anyway, I thought that was interesting.
But then who becomes the chief of staff?
Well, you know, I had heard rumors months and months ago that Trump would like to be his own chief of staff.
You know what?
It would be interesting. Other presidents years ago didn't have a chief of staff. Of course, this is a different day and time, I do know, but so anyway,
it will only get more interesting, I can assure you.
Well, I want to know who's going to be the president's doctor, because the doctor is not even going to be the doctor anymore. He's completely leaving. Completely.
I think they have several doctors. I mean, he's a Navy doctor, and I think they have several doctors, but
okay.
I don't know if you're right, I don't know if they have just one to be the president's doctor or if there's multiple ones.
Maybe Ben Carson will. Handle it.
Move them around.
Okay.
I think
that the left would like that, you know, because Ben Carson's, he's kind of a brain doctor, so he's kind of a neuro doctor. But
I think Kelly would be excellent in that position.
I do too. Yeah. I think he would really get it squared away, as they say in the military. It'll get squared away pretty darn quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be excellent.
I agree. I agree 100%. Well, this one is interesting to me.
I want to finish. I want to do this real quick. Because we're talking about truth, we're talking about how they do things, and Facebook is now going to rank news organizations by trust. All right.
Who's trust?
They're going to implement a system that ranks news organizations based on trustworthiness and promotes or suppresses its content based on that metric.
But who's going to make that decision?
They have, the company has gathered data on how consumers perceive news brands by asking them to identify whether they have heard of various publications and if they trust them. We put that data into the system, and it is acting as a boost or a suppression. And we're going to dial up the intensity of that over time. We feel like we have a responsibility to further break down polarization and find common ground. Now, I certainly don't get my news from Facebook. But they did have... No. But Zuckerberg, he met with a group of news media executives, and the meeting included representatives from BuzzFeed News, Quartz, New York Times, CNN, The Wall Street Journal, NBC, Recode, Univision, Barron's, The Daily Beast, The Economist, Huffington Post, Insider, The Atlantic, and The New York Post, and many others. The event, called OTR, which means off the record, is an annual gathering meant for new media news executives to talk shop. This is the second year. Zuckerberg's remarks were initially meant to be, like the name of the conference, off the record, but he agreed to answer questions on the record. It's going to invest billions of dollars, in a combination of artificial intelligence and tens of thousands of human moderators to keep both fake news and deliberate propaganda at bay, especially in the elections. We're essentially going to be losing money on doing political ads, he said, of the investment the company is making. Poor thing. And of all people that should be monitoring news and making decisions, you're allowing computers and human moderators make decisions on what people should read. And it's,
so how are they going to determine what is legit and what isn't? Are they going to have investigators, or it's all in what they perceive on that day?
They're relying on their AI. They're relying on their artificial intelligence to make those decisions along with humans.
They are artificial intelligence. They are intelligence artificially is what I was trying to say. Well, Facebook is also going to start... are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Facebook is also going to start dating features and an app for dating. They're going to start playing Cupid. Thought that was... interesting. I guess that'll make up. Maybe they're going to charge for that. I don't know if that'll be free or they're going to charge for that like the other dating services and make up for the money they're losing on the politics, maybe. So they're not going to take money from Russia anymore?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
no money from Russia.
Under the table. Table.
Well, kind of was.
Well, hey, he's already got the money. He's already had billions and billions and billions of dollars. He doesn't need to take any more money. But so again, they're going to control more of the news, and that's why when I keep hearing fake news, it just means eventually it's going to be controlled, and it's so anyway. We have
callers.
We do. Good morning, Oscar.
How are you today, Oscar?
How are you today?
Just fine, thank you.
I tell you, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day here in North Carolina today.
Oh, fantastic. Finally, right?
Yes. Well, listen, a couple of things. First, I'd like to comment on the speech and demonstration that Mr. Netanyahu did the other day in regards to Iran, pursuing a nuclear program and everything, that he had plenty of proof and so forth and so on. And I also heard that that was completely a false flag, that it was discovered that the Iranians are really sticking to the deal they got before with the United States, and now the Iranians are trying to strike back. But the thing is, this guy has got some magic art to run his mouth, and not only on television, but I remember years ago he was on our parliament on the Hill, running his mouth and specifying, I remember his very words, the United States will never have a better friend than Israel. Yeah, right. With a friend like that, who needs an enemy? Do you remember? I'm sure everybody remembers the SSS Liberty, how they kill our servicemen and everything, only because they knew what they were doing with the Palestinians. And there's something else I want to mention in regard to that, is that the television is running a footage now, propaganda footage, about how we should be concerned and compassion to the refugees and to the immigrants that come here and so forth and so on. I think as Christians we should be concerned about what is being done to the poor Palestinians over there in the Middle East, that they're being killed, our brothers and sisters in the Lord. I think that should be our priority number one. And, you know, and all this is just a mere propaganda. And now on regards to this thing with the caravan, these people are saying that they're running from persecution in their countries, in their gangs and so forth and so on. But what I can understand is the authorities are either ignorant or too stupid to realize that the very people that this bunch of Caravanian people are escaping from are the ones that are in the midst of them coming here to infiltrate the United States. But the authorities don't care because they are in the pursuit of votes, because these people, they're coming here to get everything, you know, all the goodies that the country has to offer, and that's going to be on the shoulders of the poor American taxpayers, because they get everything. I mean, really. How much more of this can the United States, this country, can withstand? You know, we cannot take the weight of the world in our shoulders. It's impossible. But the politicians don't care because, they, like I said, they want to obtain those votes in order to get back in the power share again, because that's all they care. And that's all I have to say, ladies, and my best regards, and thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Oscar. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Oscar. You know, it is funny sometimes the United States will turn a blind eye to, you know, some of the suffrage of people around the world. And, you know, we I'll pull up Venezuela. There's a socialist country. Maduro is not a good guy. We put sanctions on the country. We want them to use the dollar to help them get them out of their problem. And it's who suffers? You know, the people are suffering. There's no aid going to them. But yet then we'll relocate hundreds and thousands of refugees from, you know, a war that basically in Syria that, you know, it is amazing. You look at the Palestinians, and they have no power. They have, you know, they've taken away their power. They're hungry. We did the same thing to Iraq. You know, with the sanctions, people are starving. It doesn't hurt the leaders that much. I mean, certainly, Saddam, of course, yeah. I mean, you know, just some. At the point of the time that these sanctions and everything, we kill a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, you know, and it's just like collateral damage anymore. And it's, you know, I'm not. It bothers me. Yeah.
Well, we know that you know, Rwanda, they had such a horrible slaughtering of the people there, and. Nobody talked about that. That was during Obama's administration. Nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about it. No. We have Tom in Michigan. Tom, how are you today?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I think you were talking a little bit this morning about Donald Trump getting indicted. to a grand jury. Am I correct?
Well, he would be subpoenaed.
If he was subpoenaed.
Okay, I don't think that can be done. I think the only way that constitutionally they can only subpoena him if by impeachment. Because he can pardon himself. The only thing, as far as I can tell, in the Constitution, the only thing that the president can't pardon is, in federal cases, is the cases of impeachment. So, I mean, he's commander in chief. If they tried to subpoena him at the regular grand jury process, I mean, he could basically just send the army out and have them arrested, take them to Gitmo or something.
Yeah, that would
seems to me
that'd go over.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if he pardoned, it doesn't say that in the Constitution that he can't pardon himself. It just says that he can't pardon in cases of impeachment. And I mean, it doesn't make sense that if he's commander in chief, and we're in the middle of a lot of sticky military things now, kind of almost Cold War type scenarios that could go hot, and then all of a sudden some guy with a badge is going to get their nose out of joint and try to tie him up in the courts. You need to follow the the rules of impeachment to actually have any legal effect on him. And I don't see how anybody could blame him for hitting back if he's within his legal rights. Yesterday we were talking about the general welfare clause, and I think that one of the things when President Trump says make America great again, I think that's what he's talking about. Taking care of our country instead of everybody else in the world, and that's really let's call it the general welfare clause. I kind of call it the tax and spending clause, where their authority for taxing is dependent on how they spend the money for the payment of debts, the military, the defense, and the providing the general welfare. They use general welfare twice in the Constitution. Once in the preamble, it says promote the general welfare, and then later on in Article 1, Section 8, the first sentence, it says provide for the general welfare. The thing is that right in Section 8, it names powers of Congress that provide for the general welfare. I remember it was a long time ago. I heard a discussion about this general welfare clause, and it was pretty much. I guess the courts won't uphold it, but it's pretty much the general welfare. It means the same thing as the common defense of the country. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, the thing with this special counsel and the subpoena and this interview that they're wanting to do, or whatever you call it, hearing they're wanting to do with the president, I think the concern is, he was really wanting to do it. Of course, he had attorneys dropping him because he wasn't following what they suggested that he do or not do, and one of those is John Dowd, and he was the president's lead lawyer on the team dealing with Mueller's investigation, and he quit back in March because of his inability to get the president to follow the advice regarding his public statements regarding the Russia probe, and that's according to the New York Times. But I think it's that they, after they went in and raided Cohen, I think that's when everybody decided they're on the team with Trump, and Trump himself decided, maybe I don't really want to talk to him that much because they know that they're setting him up, and they know that it's not about Russia anymore. They're going to try and get whatever dirt they possibly can on the president and try to get something in order to impeach him. They don't care what they have as long as they've got something to impeach him. And like I said, we have to remember back in the day when it was Bill Clinton, the special counsel was supposed to be about Whitewater, and we ended up with a blue dress and Monica Lewinsky.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, the thing with that subpoena is, you know, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that there has to be either like a criminal action or a civil action in order to get a subpoena. And I mean, I just don't think they have the power to subpoena the president outside.
They can subpoena for information. That Congress is doing that with the Department with the Attorney General's Department. I mean, they're trying to get information, and they haven't been able to do that. Nobody is cooperating, and so they have subpoenaed for that. I believe that's what they were doing, and now they're threatening because it hasn't come to be. They're threatening to impeach Rosenstein. So it's just going on and on and on and on, and it's just getting tiresome. And I think the American people are getting sick and tired of it. We'd like to see him fire Mueller, but we know that if he does that, he can't.
Yeah.
When they're subpoenaed,
he has the right to do it, but it's just not going to happen.
When they're subpoenaed for information, it's pursuant to an investigation by Congress, not by Mueller. Am I correct? Or I mean, it's not Mueller himself that can issue the subpoenas. It's Congress, you know, pursuant to some investigation that they're already conducting.
Well, that may be. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I mean, I think that's right. And I don't know if this is information. It could be that they don't want this to get out to the general public. They want the general public to think that a guy like Mueller can just write anything on a piece of paper and everybody has to do it. You know, that we're a nation of men, not of laws.
Right.
And,
So the bottom line is he should go to his attorneys and answer questions. So
I think okay. All right, thank you, Tom.
He shouldn't have to, but that's
he shouldn't.
No.
He shouldn't.
Well, I don't blame him for not talking to Mueller.
Yeah,
but thanks for taking my call.
All right, you're welcome. I have an article here that it's totally off.
I just wanted to say, I want to go back real quick. I just want to make a comment on what Oscar was calling in about Israel. And, it is true. You have that, when you have Netanyahu doing a presentation, we talked about it yesterday on Financial Survival. It was basically, it looked like it was done by high schoolers to push the agenda against Iran, and we have to question Netanyahu. I mean, he's being investigated for corruption, for bribery. There's possible criminal charges against him on what he is doing, and then he wants us to, and he's saying how wrong Iran is, the deal is bad. Yeah, the deal's bad. We get that. But to go to war, to push that to that degree, it's, I hope, I trust President Trump to make a decision, and I hope he's not influenced by Netanyahu.
All right. Well, we'll just have to see. That's going to have to play out, too. It's an awful lot of information this week has been thrown at us in that regard. And, it's, again, like we said at the beginning of the show, how do we sift through it and know what's really the truth and what's not, or what's half-truth? I don't trust Iran at all, but Netanyahu has a dog in that race. He does have a dog in that race. And
but he's also corrupt, He's just as corrupt as everybody else. And
he's kind of like a D.C. occupier, isn't he? Only he's in a different place, yeah.
And the thing about Iran is, we can go in there and check to see if he has any, if he's promoting the nuclear agenda. But on the other hand, the inspectors are not allowed to go into any of their military areas.
Yeah.
So
I don't trust Iran, and I believe
either.
I believe I believe they do have nuclear weapons, or else they are really, really close. I absolutely believe that.
They definitely have. I would think they completed with them.
Okay.
But
all right.
But hey, supposedly Iraq had weapons of mass destruction too.
That's true. They had some destruction. But anyway, we're going to move on. I wanted to talk about something else that I thought this was like Coyote Genius. Seriously, Coyote Genius. This is a GOP bill that they're putting forth to defund the sanctuary cities, and then they're going to use that money to do what? Build a wall. They're going to use that money to build the wall. I thought this was kind of clever. It's Representative Robert Pittinger, and he went nuclear on the liberals on Tuesday. It says yesterday he introduced an explosive bill that would fully defund sanctuary cities and use the funds toward building President Donald Trump's wall along the southern border. And this is coming from the Daily Caller. It says the bill, which is called, it's got a really clever name, Make Sanctuary Cities Pay for the Wall Act. You're not laughing. I think this is funny. Would withhold federal funds and grants from sanctuary cities and relocate them to the Department of Homeland Security to specifically build Donald Trump's wall. It's always Donald Trump's wall. It's, even though the American people elected it because they wanted something done on the border. It says the bill would allow tens of billions of dollars to be redirected toward the construction of the much-needed wall, which would send the liberals into complete, well, they're going to go bonkers on this, and they would only seem to care about protecting illegals rather than ensuring the safety and protection of American citizens. I think it's funny. I think it's Coyote Genius, although that usually means something else. I thought it was funny. Apparently you didn't. But
no.
We're going into a break. I think it's clever. Let's use it against them. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. Oh, we have Joe. Joe will be with you as soon as we get back. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And in the morning, we are in the final segment of the show, and we are going to go to Joe in Arkansas. Joe, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fairly well. How are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, yesterday I hung up a show of paintings that I'm having at a local coffee house, and I found it was interesting, the reaction I had to the paintings when I hung them up. And, this is a local coffee house that's run by young people that, no doubt they've completely grown up in the progressive left-wing culture. And they have a different show of paintings, different artists every month at this coffee house. I'm the artist of the month, this month of May. And anyway, the woman that was running the restaurant at the time, she remarked that she thought my paintings were about the best that anybody's ever hung up there. And some of the customers there, remarked on them and said they were really good. And, one woman wanted to talk to me for quite a while. And, she said she was taking art lessons and so on like this. And she thought that my stuff was really good. And so, and now I don't claim to be all that good. I try to do something good. Yeah, I try to do something worthwhile. I try to keep up some good standards in my art. But, I know there's a lot of people a lot better than me. But, what most of the shows, I look at all the shows of paintings that there are around town here, and there's quite a few in quite a few places, and most of the stuff is what they call this innovative art, where it's not very well drawn, and it doesn't look like it's very intelligently done, and it doesn't seem to mean much of anything, and that's supposed to be innovative. That seems to be what they're especially going for in the modern world. That seems to be what's considered progressive and on the cutting edge of the culture and this kind of thing. And I just don't want to do that kind of thing. I want to do something that any fool can see is pretty well done. And so anyway, people seem to be kind of surprised, pleasantly surprised, when they see something like that. And like I say, it seems like since so much of the culture that people are exposed to these days is kind of a poor, degraded sort of quality, when somebody really is trying to uphold some standards and do something worthwhile and do something good, they do seem to recognize it and appreciate it. So I found that was interesting, the reaction. It seems like the people that are out to degrade the culture get at least 10 times more publicity than the people that are, trying to do something good. But I do find it seems to put a spark of life and a spark of interest and a spark of seems to kind of light up people's eyes and put a spark of spirit into their minds, when they see something that does look really nice, that does look well done.
So the young people reacted in a positive way? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Well, that's good. Good. Art brings people together, doesn't it? Yeah, that's pretty cool. What were the pictures? What were the pictures?
What were the pictures?
Yeah.
Oh, most of them were pictures of old cars in the Arkansas landscape. That's my favorite subject. That's the thing I've made something of a specialty.
That's what I was wondering. I've seen the old car ones, and those are pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what most of them were. And then there were a couple of landscapes without cars, and then there were a few portraits, and that's it.
All right.
Well, thank you. Well, good luck this month. Good luck this month with your showing.
Yeah, I hope I help you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Well,
he is right about.
He's a good artist. He is a good artist too.
He's right about one thing. A fiance to my family, she's an artist, and she gets lots of awards, and she's just graduated a year or so ago from college and so forth. So she's just really starting out. And when she has her showings at the Art League, we'll go and you look at a lot of these other paintings and so forth, and it's right. It's just like, well, what's that? And then I'm politely told, well, it's supposed to be what emotion? It's all about feelings. It's all about what emotion does it, does it make you upset, happy, angry? Can you tell? And
is that like the ink spots from the psychiatrist? What do you see in this picture?
And it's like, well, I don't want to, and I get the expression, and I guess if an artist can bring out a particular type of emotion in their artwork, I guess that's they're accomplishing something, but it's not my cup of tea. I prefer I'm a landscape. I'm a that type of pictures I can identify with.
Well, like Joe's art of the old cars and stuff. It's a kind of a nostalgic thing. Everybody likes to kind of watch that because it's or to look at those because they're nostalgic, and he does a really good job. I've seen some of them.
I'm a Mona Lisa type of a person. Having a painting, having a canvas where it looks like just buckets of paint were thrown on is.
I can do that. Maybe I could sell some. I could do that. What emotion are you feeling today? Take your fingernails and scratch it on. What do you think that was? Anyway, okay, that's fun.
Yeah, that was nice. A nice change of topic. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, so I don't know where to go after that one because that was pretty good.
I don't know either.
Where do we go? We go from there. This is show number 187 today. I count every one of them, and it's show number 187 today. I've been cleaning up the office, and like I said, I read the quote at the beginning of the show. I've been cleaning up the office, and I went through all the. I keep a yellow sheet. It's kind of purple right now. Keep a sheet on every show. Keep notes. There's nothing sacred, nothing secret. Melody and Todd. I keep notes for every show, so I don't always know what we talked about. I'm not really good about that, but I know which callers have called each and where they're from each day. And today is number 187. I'm in a nostalgic mood because CSC Talk Radio hit 7 years today, and
congratulations.
It was a calamity of things that morning that brought it on the air finally, including I had a guest lined up. And her husband calls me 30 minutes or so before the show to tell me that she'd hurt her back and there's no way she could do the show. And I had to find another guest because that was before I had enough confidence to do a show on my own. So it was I panicked if I didn't have a guest, and I had a guest. I got another person to do that for me. And while I was doing all that and recording all the commercials for the show, just like an hour and a half before we went on the air, somebody created the intro, and a friend of mine was at the state of Missouri trying to get the LLC taken care of before 10 o'clock when I went live. So it was a calamity of things, and I'm kind of in a nostalgic mood. So.
Oh, well, congratulations. Great job. Well done. So here's to 7 more years.
Absolutely. Hey, 7's the perfect number, right?
Yeah, it is.
You hesitated. 7's the number for me. That's what they used to say on Sesame Street. Well, there's lots of news going on, and there's so much of it that we just don't know what to think about, and a lot of it has to do with this council and Mueller and Rosenstein and all that. And in the background, there are some other things that are happening. We've got states that are suing the president over the EPA. There's 18 states suing Trump's EPA over the Clean Air Act. They've kind of let up on some of the restrictions and mandates and such, and so these states, 18 of them are suing. It says 18 states filed a lawsuit on Tuesday against President Donald Trump's administration over its effort to dismantle the greenhouse gas emission rules for America's auto fleet, according to the Washington Post. The lawsuit is in an attempt to preserve the Clean Air Act, which is considered to be one of former President Barack Obama's greatest accomplishments, one of his greatest acts. So Scott Pruitt is the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, and he's been honoring this commitment to Trump supporters to kind of pull back on some of those restrictions and that weren't really cost effective, and they weren't really doing anything either as far as cleaning the air up. So they've been cutting back on it. So we've got 18 states suing him. That would be California, big surprise, and D.C., I don't know if that counts as a state, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Virginia, Washington, and Minnesota. Those are included in that lawsuit. So I think that's kind of tells you.
Appreciate the sound effects of the...
You're welcome. New Jersey.
I'm sorry. But, yeah, you know,
listeners, didn't we?
It's a good time to be an attorney in D.C., that's for sure.
Oh, my gosh. They're raking it in, aren't they?
They're raking it in.
Make the laws, practice the laws, and they are getting rich doing it. And I think I hear music in the background. We are out of time for today.
I think we are.
I think I hear music. I should be hearing music. There it is. I should be hearing music. Well, we won't make you tap dances off the air, but we will be back tomorrow. We hope you've had a wonderful hour and you have a great afternoon. And Melody and I will be back in the morning. Thank you.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.